Wayne Gretzky's career is the kind of story that almost feels impossible. 4 Stanley Cups with the Edmonton Oilers, 9 Hart trophies as the NHL's most valuable player, 10 scoring titles, more goals and assists than anyone who ever laced up skates. And of course, the nickname that stuck forever, the Great One. But here's the twist. For all the records, for all the trophies, Gretzky himself never saw greatness as something he created alone. This legend may look like the undisputed greatest, but even he wasn't forged in isolation. He needed rivals to test him, teammates to lift him, and heroes to inspire him. As Gretzky once said about his boyhood idol Gordie Howe, he was everything I wanted to be, both as a player and as a man. That one line tells you everything. Even the best needs someone to look up to. Let's dive into 7 legends Wayne Gretzky loved the most during his storied career. Without these 7 figures, Wayne Gretzky's legacy wouldn't be complete. They're the ones who sharpened, challenged, and defined the Great One. Before we jump into the full story, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot more hockey legends and untold stories lined up, and you'll want to be here for all of them. Gordie Howe, the childhood idol. When you ask Wayne Gretzky who his hero was, the answer always came quickly. Gordie Howe.
We all get an opportunity, or sometimes you get an opportunity to meet your idols, and sometimes you walk away and go, well, it was okay, or that was just all right. And I met Gordie Howe when I was 10, and my dad said, how was it? And I said, you know, he was bigger and nicer and better than I had in my 10-year-old brain.
Known as Mr. Hockey, Howe was already a legend when Gretzky was just a boy in Brantford, Ontario. Gretzky watched him play for the Detroit Red Wings and saw everything a hockey player could be: skill, toughness, and class. Gordie wore number 9, and it was Gretzky's love for him that led to the most famous jersey number in the game. When he couldn't have number 9 himself, the coach suggested he double it, and that's how Wayne Gretzky became number 99. From the start, every part of Gretzky's game was linked to his idol. The proof of Howe's influence can be seen in one unforgettable moment. In 1979, when Gretzky had just joined the NHL, he actually faced off against Howe, who was still playing at 51 years old with the Hartford Whalers. The matchup felt like a dream. The boy who worshipped Mr. Hockey skating against his idol on the same ice. Gretzky later admitted it was surreal, saying, Gordie Howe was everything I wanted to be, both as a player and as a man. For Gretzky, just sharing a rink with Howe was like shaking hands with history.
And as much as you can admire him while watching him, you really don't know how much talent that kid's got until you play with him. If he thinks that he wants to be like Gordie Howe, God, I'd love to have some of those moves.
Away from the bright lights, the relationship became more personal. Gretzky's father, Walter, once took him to meet Howe when he was just a kid. Instead of brushing him off, Howe treated young Wayne with warmth and kindness, signing an autograph and making him feel special. That small gesture stayed with Gretzky for life, because it showed that greatness wasn't only about goals, it was about character. In the end, Howe gave Gretzky more than a number or a memory. He gave him a model for how to play the game with both fire and respect. Gretzky's vision, his unselfish play, and his love for hockey all trace back to the example Gordie Howe set. It proves that even the greatest scorer in history was first, and always a fan of Mr. Hockey. Bobby Orr, the blueprint of greatness. For Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr wasn't just another superstar. He was the player who rewrote what hockey could look like. Before Orr, defensemen were mostly stay-at-home players, known for blocking shots and protecting their own zone. But Orr changed all of that. With his speed, skating, and vision, he attacked the game like no defenseman before him. Gretzky admired how Orr didn't just play hockey, he redefined it. As Gretzky once said, Bobby Orr is the guy who revolutionized the game more than anyone else. For a young Gretzky, Orr became the living proof that greatness meant daring to be different. The most iconic image of Orr's career, and the one Gretzky never forgot, came in the 1970 Stanley Cup Final. In overtime of Game 4, Orr scored the cup-winning goal for the Boston Bruins while being tripped, sending him flying through the air with his arms raised. That frozen image, Orr horizontal above the ice, scoring the most famous goal in hockey history, showed just how much one player could dominate. For Gretzky, that moment captured everything: creativity, courage, and flair, all packed into one play. But Gretzky's admiration wasn't only from afar. When Orr's career wound down and Gretzky was beginning his own, the two developed a connection off the ice. Orr later became Gretzky's agent and mentor, guiding him in the early years of his career. Gretzky often spoke about how much Orr cared for players, always giving advice without ever making it about himself. The boy who once idolized Orr ended up relying on him as a trusted figure when the spotlight was brightest. What Orr revealed to Gretzky was that hockey wasn't about staying in a box or doing what had always been done. It was about vision, about changing the game with boldness and belief. Orr's revolution gave Gretzky the courage to use his own style, to see passes others couldn't, and to control the ice in ways no one had imagined. If Howe gave Gretzky a hero to look up to, Bobby Orr gave him a blueprint for how to build greatness on his own terms. Mark Messier, the teammate who completed him. When people talk about the Edmonton Oilers dynasty of the 1980s, Wayne Gretzky's brilliance usually takes center stage. But even Gretzky himself would tell you there was no dynasty without Mark Messier. Messier wasn't just a teammate, he was the backbone of the Oilers. While Gretzky dazzled with vision and finesse, Messier brought raw power, toughness, and a fierce will to win. Gretzky admired him deeply for that balance. As he once put it, Mess was the greatest leader I ever played with. The proof of Messier's value came in some of the biggest moments in Oilers history. In the 1984 Stanley Cup Final against the New York Islanders, the team that had won 4 straight cups, Messier took over Game 3 with a goal and 2 assists, swinging the series in Edmonton's favor. His combination of speed, strength, and fearlessness broke the Islanders' stranglehold on the league. Gretzky has often said that Messier's performance in that series was one of the turning points that cemented the Oilers as champions. Off the ice, their relationship was built on respect and trust. While Gretzky was the face of hockey, Messier was the enforcer of standards inside the locker room. He pushed teammates to train harder, play tougher, and never back down from pressure. Gretzky admired how Messier's presence made everyone feel accountable. It wasn't just about scoring goals. It was about being ready to pay the price for winning. Gretzky leaned on Messier's leadership and knew that when the stakes were highest, Messier would always deliver. For Gretzky, Messier revealed the truth about greatness. It isn't achieved alone. The Oilers became a dynasty because skill and leadership worked hand in hand. Gretzky was the artist, but Messier was the fire that made sure the masterpiece was finished. Together, they showed the hockey world that talent needs toughness and vision needs a backbone. And that's why Gretzky never hesitated to call Mark Messier the greatest leader of them all. Jari Kurri, the perfect wingman. Every great playmaker needs someone who can finish the job, and for Wayne Gretzky, that someone was Jari Kurri. When Kurri joined the Edmonton Oilers from Finland in 1980, he wasn't the loudest or flashiest player in the room, but what Gretzky quickly saw was a line mate who could think the game at the same speed he did. Kurri didn't just keep up, he thrived. Game after game, Gretzky threaded impossible passes through traffic, and Kurri was there to bury them. Gretzky's admiration was simple and heartfelt. I'd rather pass to Jari than shoot myself. One of the clearest examples of their connection came during the 1985 Stanley Cup playoffs. Kurri scored 19 goals in just 18 games, tying an NHL record at the time. Many of those came off Gretzky's setups, a perfect display of their chemistry. Opponents knew Gretzky would pass, but they couldn't stop it, because Kurri's instincts were razor sharp. His quiet, clinical finishing touch made Edmonton's offense nearly unstoppable, and the Gretzky-Kurri duo became one of the deadliest pairings in hockey history. Off the ice, their relationship was built on trust and humility. Kurri never demanded attention or the spotlight. He was content to let Gretzky be the face of the team while he did his job with quiet excellence. Gretzky loved that about him. Kurri's calm presence balanced the high-pressure world Gretzky lived in. Whether it was a locker room joke or a moment of encouragement, Kurri always seemed to provide exactly what Gretzky needed from a teammate and friend. What Kurri revealed about Gretzky was just how much vision depends on trust. Gretzky could see plays no one else imagined, but they only worked because Kurri had the awareness, skill, and unselfishness to finish them. Together, they proved that even the greatest passer in hockey history still needed the perfect wingman to turn brilliance into goals. By the way, let me know in the comments which Gretzky teammate or rival you think had the biggest impact on his career. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps keep these stories alive. Paul Coffey, the flying defenseman. When Wayne Gretzky talks about skating, one name always rises above the rest: Paul Coffey. For Gretzky, Coffey wasn't just a teammate, he was a weapon that changed the rhythm of a game. Most defensemen in the NHL were known for their positioning or their toughness, but Coffey brought something different: speed. He could glide across the ice so effortlessly, it almost looked like he was floating. Gretzky often said in awe, "Paul Coffey was the best skater I ever saw." Watching Coffey take off with the puck was like seeing a racehorse break free, and it gave Gretzky another dimension to work with. The proof of their partnership came during the 1985-86 season, when Coffey scored 48 goals and added 90 assists for an incredible 138 points, a record for defensemen that still stands. It wasn't just about the numbers though. Night after night, Coffey would rush end to end, drawing defenders to him, and Gretzky would be waiting to exploit the chaos. Together, they shredded opposing teams with a speed and skill combination the NHL had never seen before. Coffey wasn't just defending, he was attacking, and Gretzky loved how that pushed the Oilers into uncharted territory. Off the ice, Gretzky admired how Coffey carried himself with confidence, but never arrogance. He was stylish, outspoken, and fun-loving, which made him a perfect fit in the young Oilers locker room. Yet beneath all the flash, Gretzky respected how hard Coffey worked to maximize his gifts. Teammates often joked about his smooth skating, but Gretzky knew it came from relentless dedication and a fearless willingness to jump into the play. For Gretzky, Coffey revealed the beauty of turning risk into reward. Where others might hesitate, Coffey charged forward, trusting his legs and instincts. That boldness gave Gretzky more room to create and showed that greatness sometimes comes from daring to be different. If Orr had revolutionized the role of the defenseman, Coffey proved that the blueprint could be taken even further, and Gretzky loved being right there to witness it. Mario Lemieux, the ultimate rival and equal, for most of Wayne Gretzky's career, he stood so far above the rest of the league that nobody could really be compared to him. But then came Mario Lemieux. Standing 6 feet 4 inches with hands as soft as silk, Lemieux combined Gretzky's vision with power and size that made him nearly impossible to defend. Gretzky always respected him not just as a rival, but as the one player who could match his brilliance in a completely different way. He admitted it himself. He could do things even I couldn't dream of. Coming from the Great One, that wasn't just a compliment, it was a recognition of equality. The most unforgettable proof of their connection came during the 1987 Canada Cup. In the decisive Game 3 against the Soviet Union, Gretzky and Lemieux lined up together. With the game tied late in the third period, Gretzky carried the puck into the zone and slid a perfect pass to Lemieux, who ripped home the winning goal. It was a moment etched in hockey history. The two greatest players of their era, combining for one of Canada's most iconic goals. Gretzky later said it was one of the proudest moments of his career, not because he scored, but because he set up Mario to do it. Beyond the ice, Gretzky and Lemieux shared mutual admiration. Gretzky respected how Lemieux battled through endless health issues and still carried the Pittsburgh Penguins to Stanley Cups and personal milestones. They weren't teammates for most of their careers, but whenever they did play together, Gretzky loved the chemistry. Off the rink, he valued Mario's calm, dignified personality, a quiet giant who led by example rather than words. What Lemieux showed Gretzky was that even a legend needs someone who can truly push him. Mario's presence raised the level of competition and reminded Gretzky that greatness can come in more than one form. If Gretzky was the artist who painted the ice with vision, Lemieux was the force who carved through it with power. And in Gretzky's eyes, having an equal like Mario only made his own story even greater. Luc Robitaille, the beloved friend and teammate. When Wayne Gretzky arrived in Los Angeles in 1988, he wasn't just bringing his talent to a new city, he was bringing hockey into the spotlight in California. Among the teammates he grew closest to in that chapter was Luc Robitaille, better known to fans as Lucky Luke. Gretzky admired him for more than just his scoring touch. Robitaille had been drafted in the 9th round, a spot where very few players ever make an NHL impact. Yet he worked his way into becoming the highest scoring left winger in league history. Gretzky loved that story. The underdog who defied every expectation with talent, perseverance, and heart. One moment that stood out to Gretzky came in the 1993 playoffs. The Kings, powered by Gretzky's leadership and Robitaille's scoring, made their way to the Stanley Cup final, the first in franchise history. Robitaille scored 17 points in that run, providing the offensive firepower that made the Kings believe they could actually compete for a championship. Gretzky often pointed to Robitaille's knack for finding the net in big games as a reason the Kings became contenders. Off the ice, the bond between Gretzky and Robitaille grew into a genuine friendship. Gretzky respected Robitaille's humility. Despite his Hall of Fame numbers, Luc never acted like a superstar. He was approachable, kind, and always had time for fans. Gretzky would often praise him publicly, not only for his scoring ability, but also for his character. The two shared laughs, dinners, and memories away from the rink, building a connection that went beyond the locker room. For Gretzky, Robitaille represented the heart of the game, the joy, the humility, and the gratitude that often get lost in a career full of records and pressure. If Gretzky admired Howe for being his hero and Lemieux for being his equal, he loved Luc for reminding him why hockey was fun in the first place. In the end, Robitaille showed Gretzky that greatness isn't just measured in goals, but also in the kind of friend and teammate you are along the way. Greatness in hockey is never built alone. Wayne Gretzky's story isn't just about the goals he scored or the trophies he lifted. It's about the heroes, rivals, and teammates who shaped him every step of the way. From Gordie Howe, showing him what it meant to be a role model, to Mario Lemieux, pushing him as an equal, to Luc Robitaille, reminding him of the pure joy of the game. Each one left a mark on the Great One's journey. Greatness recognizes greatness, and legends forge legends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.